Ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families. Some who fear for their lives.
Meanwhile, flashback.
Take a look at this body camera video. You see Hilliard officers running into the store.
This way? Okay.
Employees pointing police to the restroom where the victim's family was able to hold the suspect, Mohammed Kamara.
Lock your fingers, put your hands behind your back. You're being detained.
According to court records, Kamara was seen on store cameras following the 60-year-old victim until she enters the restroom. When she left the stall, Kamara was standing near the sinks. The victim questioned why he was there, and that's when police say he attacked, grabbing her throat, slamming her against the wall, and covering her mouth. But she was able to scream, getting the attention of her family, her son calling 911.
I mean, my mom was in there alone with him, so yes, he burst through the door to make him get off of my mom.
Okay. Do you guys know him, or is he just a random guy that approached your mom?
It's a random guy. No, my mom walked into the bathroom, and all of a sudden we heard screaming, yelling for my dad, and luckily we were close, and so my dad went and burst in there because my mom was screaming for help.
The victim will be okay. According to the police report, she had a broken blood vessel in her eye and some bruising on her face and arms. Kamara is being held on $250,000 bond.
It's described as a sermon, but really it was a lecture. Bishop Marianne Egger-Bood, and she gave a sermon that, it's described as a sermon, but really it was a lecture where she told the new president, go easy on migrants and refugees and members of the LGBTQ community. If you missed it, it's gotten a lot of support in some quarters and a lot of criticism. Here she is.
I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families. Some who fear for their lives.
Flashback.
My daughter, right here, sweetheart, tell these people, do you want a little boy to watch you pee?
No.
No, why?
Because inappropriate.
It's inappropriate. My 8-year-old daughter knows it's inappropriate, and yet y'all sit there silent. One of you told me that your personal views don't align with the views you show to the public. You're cowards. That is not how you do it. That should show every parent in this county that you are not fit to sit on this board. Every one of you. Tell me you didn't say that this is not your job, that it should be left up to the ethics committee. All you do is smile. Rob, I don't have a problem with you, but this has got to stop, because I'm going to tell you, y'all come up here and talk about vaping and the dangers of vaping. If a little boy follows my daughter in that bathroom and touches her, you will have a new radar of dangers. This is ridiculous. You're opening up opportunity for problems to happen. You either create a new bathroom for those who are confused, or you send them to the staff bathroom. It's a very simple problem. We don't change policy for tens of thousands of people to accommodate. There is no problem what people do on their personal level. That is not my business, nor your business, nor anybody's business. That is their choice. But I tell you what, I want to prove that you're all hypocrites, because each of you ladies, I want you to invite your husbands, and let's go to the bathroom, and I want them to watch you use the bathroom, and let's see if they get mad. Let's prove to the public the hypocrites that sit on this board. Because I bet you'll get mad when I watch your wife, your husband will get mad when I watch you, your husband would feel the same as I would about my wife. Now stand up and do something. You're so scared of losing federal funding, it's ridiculous. Every single one of you is cowards. And we keep coming up here year after year with the same clique. There's one woman on this board that stands up for the people and the kids. That's a role model. Y'all should listen and pay attention, is why she gets the votes. We won't put a single Laura Lindsay sign out, and she'll get the votes. Kenny Workman is the exact example of a man whose feelings are hurt because the right questions were asked. There, I called him out.
Thank you.
And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meatpacking plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens.
Flashback.
Lives smuggled in, locked away, and forced to work. Federal agents raid an East Bay warehouse to save dozens of illegal immigrants. The leader of it all is under arrest.
Neighbors tell us that they can't believe this was happening right across the street. Agents moved in before dawn, surrounding the warehouse near Dunn and Clawwitter in Hayward. KPIX5's Len Ramirez was the only reporter there when the raid went down.
Federal agents raided a construction business on Dunn Road at 5 in the morning, all part of what sources tell KPIX was a rescue operation to free illegal immigrants from a smuggling and forced labor scheme. Police say at least a dozen people were removed from squalid conditions where there was no running water. They were taken away in these vans to what police called a shelter. Neighbors say they would see the workers coming and going at all hours.
It seemed like they were construction, wearing orange jackets and all that. It seems like they were from a construction site, and they had like black Hondas come in, and you were thought, oh, okay, they just got off work.
Sources say the workers, all males, were held in two back warehouses which were locked from the outside so they couldn't leave at night. Then in the morning they would be loaded up into that van or that white truck and driven to construction sites where they would work all day for little or no pay. The owner of the construction company, Job Torres Hernandez, ran several businesses, including one called Foam Legends. He was arrested and charged with alien smuggling, transportation, and concealing or harboring aliens. Prosecutors say he smuggled the workers in from Mexico to work exclusively for him and used coercion tactics to keep them on the job, threatening to harm them or their families back home if they ever complained. One neighbor who did not want to go on camera can't believe this was happening across the street.
I come working over here every single day, and never I see something strange.
Sources say the workers will likely get special visas to remain in the U.S. and will probably be called as witnesses against their former boss.
Or have the proper documentation. But the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals.
Flashback.
I, by the way, told you guys a couple weeks ago, I went out and spoke to illegal migrants and got some of their reactions to different things that are happening. I asked one of them about Tren de Aragua and what they had been seeing, what he had been seeing. Listen to this clip; it's fascinating. He's got a lot of advice for America. Listen.
La situación con las pandillas, especialmente la pandilla o el cartel de Tren de Aragua, ha aumentado crimen o su presencia de esta pandilla.
Sí, cada día aumenta más, parece mentira, pero sí aumenta. No he convivido con ellos, pero sí tengo una compañerita que la conozco y en el hotel donde ella pernota, ellos están haciendo vida allí. Y lo que ella me comenta es que estas personas prácticamente toman el control de esos espacios, de esos lugares. Entonces ahí es donde yo vengo, que tiene que haber intervención del gobierno. No es solamente un agente de seguridad, sino debe haber algo mayor que controle eso. O sea, ¿cómo le van a dar beneficio a una persona que esté haciendo daño y de paso que se quiera controlar todo el edificio? No es posible. Debe existir un refuerzo, digo yo, masivo, porque creo que la seguridad es muy poca para lo que realmente está entrando acá a este país.
I wish this clip had gone a little longer. I said to him, is America turning into Venezuela? And this guy happens to be a Venezuelan. He goes, yep, you guys are turning into Venezuela. He also went on to tell me, listen, why aren't you guys vetting people before they enter the country? He's like, it's too late if you vet them after. This is an illegal immigrant who's saying, why are you giving benefits to gang members who've taken over the hotels that we're staying in? This was a fascinating interview of sort of the common sense of those who came across here illegally that our own leaders don't have.
And voters agree. I mean, remain in Mexico, coming back. Building the wall, coming back. A mass deportation, coming to a town near you. Starting with criminals, starting with gang members. So voters here have, thanks to you, the great work that you've done talking about that, I think voters are way more well-informed about the threat of our southern border.
Oh, my God. It's always good to learn. What was that, John, or was that Paul?
I don't know. She didn't go through Scripture, okay?
Right.
And she gave a political speech.
Absolutely.
And as someone that comes from generations of preachers, I would have walked out. I commend the president for being graceful, but I'm J.D. Vance. I'm looking crazy. Like, what is she talking about doing a sermon? I don't think it was appropriate time. If you had something to say to the president that may be a little political, if you wanted to talk about the president exercising mercy, then you could have asked for the president for a few minutes of his time and said, Mr. President, this is the issue that I feel. But don't get up there and try to preach a sermon that you cite no scripture for.
Well, she's not going to talk to him because during the George Floyd riots back in 2020, she said she'd given up trying to speak to Trump and said that he needed to be replaced. So, you know,
look at the children. There's children there, too, that are hearing this message.
Well, here she is last night on CNN explaining what she wanted to do.
I was speaking to the president because I felt that he has this moment now where he feels charged and empowered to do what he feels called to do. And I wanted to say, you know, there is room for mercy. There's room for a broader compassion. We don't need to portray with a broad cloth in the harshest of terms some of the most vulnerable people in our society.
Flashback.
Prosecutors revealed what 25-year-old Ecuadorian migrant Christian Inga told investigators after his arrest. Inga says he came across two 13-year-old teens having sex in Casino Park last Thursday afternoon. He says he decided to join in. According to prosecutors, Inga told NYPD investigators that he tied both the boy and girl together with shoelaces, holding them at knife point, put a gag in their mouths, then took the knife and cut the girl's shorts and underwear off to begin raping her, all while filming the violent sexual attack on his cell phone. Once he finished his attack, Inga told the two teens to not move for 20 minutes while he ran away to, his words, buy more drugs. Inga was charged with predatory sexual assault, the highest sexual assault count someone can be charged with, along in the first degree, kidnapping in the second degree, and a host of other charges.
At the end of the day, he is remanded into custody.
The violent sexual attack on a child rocked the Fresh Meadows, Queens community for days. The manhunt to find Inga, who police identified through sketches and surveillance photos, finally came to an end early Tuesday morning thanks to a group of civilians who spotted Inga outside a deli in Corona. They punched and beat him and held him until cops arrived. Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz praising those good Samaritans and the two brave 13-year-olds who were able to provide an accurate description of the suspect. Back in the United States for entering illegally back in 2021 down in Texas. He's due back in court here in Queens at the Queens County Criminal Courthouse.
A few moments later.
So Trump wants an apology, and he made that clear. He said the so-called bishop who spoke at the National Prayer Service on Tuesday morning was a radical left hardline Trump hater. She brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. She was nasty in tone and not compelling or smart. She failed to mention the large number of illegal immigrants that came into our country and killed people. Many were deposited from jails and mental institutions. It's a giant crime wave that is taking part in the USA. Apart from her inappropriate statements, the service was very boring and uninspiring. She is not very good at her job. She and her church owe the public an apology. Now, you got this historic moment. She decides to give a lecture. A self-important person who probably had AOC jot some notes down before.
You know what? I mean, she has every right to her opinion. We all have an opinion on this issue.
Right.
But I don't like it when ministers bring politics into the pulpit and try to lecture you.